Okay, if you're ready, let's roll.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the City of Doral Council meeting. Today is April 13th, the year of our Lord 2022. It is 10:05 a.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Oscar Puig Corvée.
Present.
Councilwoman Claudia Mariaca.
Present.
Councilman Pete Cabrera.
Present.
Vice Mayor Digna Cabral.
Present.
Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
If you could please rise, face the flag, and join us in the pledge of allegiance. Okay. We will be led in the invocation today by Vice Mayor Digna Cabral.
Good morning. If you could please bow your heads. God, we invite you to proceed over this meeting. Even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us to each listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us to work as a unified team in combining ideas for a great outcome. Help us to work as a whole, rather than as individuals trying to promote their own agendas. We may have a spirit of teamwork in this room and continue to work together on our shared mission. Help us to carefully consider the relevant information that has been gathered. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, agenda, order of business, anything, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir. We'd like to pull item 6L.
Okay. Pulling item 6L, that's fine. So, Madam Clerk, did you note that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the City of Doral. If you're here for the first time, welcome back. If you're here for the umpteenth time, happy Passover to those who are celebrating Passover this week. Happy Holy Week and Easter to those who are celebrating Easter. And those who have already been celebrating since our last council meeting, happy Ramadan. So, having said that, a couple of rules. They're very simple. Number one, three very, very, very basic rules. If you're going to speak today, you will have a couple of opportunities to speak. One is during the public comment portion, and then if there are any ordinances, you also will be able to speak. The ordinances usually are heard in the evening session, but this morning you can speak to any item you would like to speak to during the public comment portion. If for some reason you're going to be talking to someone, we'd ask you to please step outside and then step back in, or if you're going to be on your cell phone, etc., because that sometimes interrupts our ability to hear the comments from others. If you're going to give a public comment, you have 3 minutes to give that comment. There's a clock over there. At or the 3-minute mark, you'll hear a little buzz. I will ask you to wrap up. I'm usually a little bit lenient, give you a couple more seconds, but excuse me, we would ask that you wrap it up within that 3-minute time period. And finally, you can criticize me, you can criticize my colleagues, you can criticize the staff or the administration. You can even criticize your spouse and or kids. You may not be able to do that at home, but you can do it here. However, you must do it respectfully, because if you do not do it respectfully, then that young lady in the back, who is a proud officer of the Doral Police Department and started with us as a young lady, as a PSA, will tap you on the shoulder and tell you that you've got to go outside. And we've never had that happen, but that's what makes democracy work, respecting everybody's opinion. Okay? So, having said that, we are going to go into, oh, by the way, one last thing. If you are going to speak during the public comment portion, please fill out a card. A couple of you have already have filled it out and give it to the world's greatest clerk, who's at the corner, Connie Diaz, and make sure that you give us your name and address for the record before you speak, okay? All right, so we will begin with the public comment portion, and Mr. Richard Gluckstadt.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I passed out 5 sardine cans. I hope you got it. This is for the members of the council, because when I was learning Spanish as my second language, one of the expressions I really liked was sardinas en lata. You know, I really appreciate the Spanish language on how it expresses, you know, how how things are like. That basically means in English, you're really, really overcrowded. Estamos como sardinas en lata. We're like sardines in a can, right? Now, the city of Doral is a living, breathing organism. It's just like a person. It's like us. When under stress, it reacts accordingly. And when it's stressed, meaning overcrowded or overdeveloped, like it's becoming or has become, we have things like murder, which we haven't had before. We had murder here. Armed robbery, a lot of car thefts and burglaries. Plus, we had a couple of police shootings. Imagine if you're a policeman and you're going after a couple of guys and they shoot and the bullet hits the glass and you get the glass in your face. Do you like glass in your face? Pretty gross. Well, one of our police officers got glass in his face. You know, these are things that I couldn't imagine would ever be happening in the Doral. But it's happening and it's not getting better. You can't just put your head in the sand like an ostrich. So I gave all of you a copy of some statistics that I looked up. I said, what is the crime rate in Doral, Florida? Relative to Florida, Doral has a crime rate that is higher than 69% of the state's cities and towns of all sizes. Importantly, when you compare Doral to other communities of similar population, then Doral crime rate, violent and property crimes combined, is quite a bit higher than average. The rate of crime in Doral is 26.94 per 1,000 residents during a standard year. People who live in Doral generally consider the central part of the city to be the safest. Your chance of being a victim of crime in Doral may be as high as 1 in 26 in the southeast neighborhoods. That's over there by 79th Avenue. Or as low as 1 in 47 in the central part of the city. Remember that our police force is not a fictional collection of superheroes. They have the task of keeping us safe and in peace, but when the city council continues to ignore the realities of daily life, then they put everyone in jeopardy, including all the men and women in blue. Besides having police shootings and murders, we also have battery upon police officers and firefighters. So that's the environment we've created, that the city has created, and the voters have allowed you to create it, because you can't stop taking money from the three prongs of Neptune: developers, builders, and
Finish your last prong.
builders, developers, and what's the last one?
I don't know.
Builders, developers, and
The devil? I don't know. What do you think?
builders, developers, oh yeah, and of course, the real estate people. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
your
Mr.
time.
Gluckstadt.
You're welcome.
Okay. Maria Elena Rodriguez.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Maria Elena Rodriguez, and I'm here in proxy for my sister, Miss Luimar Zabetta Garza. She'd like to give a First Amendment proposal. Mayors, Doral Police Chief, now interim city manager, shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Now, to the city attorneys, to the city attorneys, council, particularly traitorous vice mayor named Digna Cabal. Okay, Luimar, take it away. Luimar. Can't hear you.
I'm going to be
Unmute it.
very lenient and let her speak. It's my understanding that there is a restriction on her.
Yeah, you have to speak.
Hello, everybody. This is Municipal Garza, homeless, HOMELESS. In particular, I want to read to you the memorandum of October 27th, in which Trader Digna Cabal and attorney Luis Figueroa have, in partnership, become our domestic enemies, and in partnership with the United Nations. And I'll read to you what these traders have done. The United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR, is a dedicated training arm of the United Nations system. Again, a training arm of the United Nations system. We have your attorney who graduated 1984 from Harvard and was got the interim city manager, who has denied me my free speech to come in and speak to each of you. And for Vice Mayor Digna Cabal, who is about to slide into the mayor position in June, has now been appointed to all these multiple committees: National Committee for Energy and Environment and Natural Resources, Council on Youth Education and Family, Military Communities Council. That is exactly what an infiltrated domestic enemy does. And Digna Cabal, together with the attorney and all of you by sin of omission, who have neglected to expose the traitorship that we have with these contracts with the United Nations, and this resolution that you did in October is so vague as to allow these people to come in and wreak havoc upon our IT system, upon our employees, upon everything. You have been given notice, JC, many times, and you, Pete Cabrera, wherever you may be, and you, Hernan Organ Vides, who have declared to me that you know Trump personally. Well, you three Mouseketeers best get together and decide if you wish to raise the ire of Trump himself, or get this traitor sitting next to you to your right, JC, and get her out of the city of Doral. She is now on so many committees she cannot perform her job as she should as a mayor. And in that regard, she will have way too much power, as she is not a U.S. citizen. She is
Okay,
naturalized.
Louis Mar, you got to.
Should be removed from office.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you very much. I guess Ms. Rodriguez and Ms. Saides in combination thereof. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak to any issue at this time? Please come on up. State your name and address for the record. Even if it's more interesting than the prior two things, please come on up. State your name and address for the record and give us your opinion in the 3-minute time period. Okay, let the record reflect that no one has chosen to speak at this time.
Next item, Mayor and Council members, is a consent agenda. It'll be all the items on Section 6 with the exception of 6L, which was removed.
Motion
Okay.
to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Cabrera. Motion by Councilwoman Mariaca.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Huh? Yeah, that's who it was. I heard Mariaca. Sorry. Me? I didn't say it. Okay, so let's correct it. Vice Mayor Digna Cabral, whose name is obviously pretty popular today. Seconded by Councilman Cabrera.
Puy Corvée.
Puy Corvée too? All right, then we'll change that. Puy Corvée.
Okay, okay.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, let the record reflect it's unanimous. Next item.
All right. So I have motion by the Vice Mayor and seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Awesome. Thank you very much. Next item will be the approval of minutes, all the items on Section 7, that's A through D.
Okay, if everybody's had a chance to review the minutes, please, the chair would entertain a motion at this time to approve the minutes, item A, B, C, D, 7A, B, C, D.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Vice Mayor Digna Cabral. Seconded by Councilwoman Mariaca. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Let the record reflect it's unanimous. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item 8A, presentations, Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award.
Those some good news.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Manager, Mr. City Attorney, Madam Clerk, Danny Del Toro, Assistant Court Compliance Director. This month, we are pleased to recognize Alpha Clouding LLC for their outstanding commitment to keeping Doral beautiful. The property for which they are being recognized is located at 11001 Northwest 33rd Street. Alpha Cladding has been in the city of Doral for a year and a half. The property is approximately 28,860 total square feet, and the business has 18 employees. Alpha Cladding is a fully integrated curtain wall company that provides a comprehensive design, manufacturing, and installation service to its clients seeking a custom design or off-the-shelf facade system for their buildings. Some of the recent improvements include painting of the entire building, the addition of an aluminum wall sign, upgrading the landscaping, and maintaining it with a bi-weekly service. It is with great pleasure that we recommend Alpha Clouding LLC for the Keep Doral Beautiful Business Award for their continued efforts to keeping Doral beautiful. Mr. Mayor and Council, representatives of the business Maria Borges and Margarita Bambaste are here to accept the award.
Margarita, I think we got your last name correct. Come on up. You want to get it? You guys want to say anything? It's up to you. Come on up, because we're going to ask you to come up here to give you the award.
Hi, come on. My name is Margarita Bambanaste. She's Maria Borges Vasquez. We are in representation of Alpha Claring LLC. Our company, we are in the business of a curtain wall. We are proud to be the glazing contractor of the terminals that you can see on the MacArthur Causeway. Terminal A, Terminal B, Terminal V, which is a Virgin, and we are proud also to announce here that we are going to be the glazing contractor of Terminal MSC. We are located here in Doral. Okay, from last year, we purchased that warehouse, and we have been improving, everything to honor the city of Doral, because all the business here keeps the Doral beautiful. So we are, thank you, we say thank you to you, to, your name is Danny, for the award, to Nicole for nominated us, and, I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being great partners in the city. When we started this program, the idea was for the businesses, which are the reason why our city exists, to actually be a key part of keeping our city beautiful. So we're very appreciative. We're going to do it up here, Danny, or up here? Come on up. Come on up.
Thank you so much.
Some good news. Yeah. Gracias a ustedes. ¿Cómo están? Ya van en medio.
Okay.
Y gracias por lo que ustedes, por ayudarnos a mantener la ciudad bella.
Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you so much for your time. Oh, whatever.
Nada más.
Thank you.
Mucho gusto. Mucho gusto. Gracias.
¿Pero qué es lo que hacen? Somos los dueños del puerto.
¿Qué es lo que hacen?
La fachada del curtain wall. O sea, hacemos el glazing contractor.
Right, de la parte. Hay un terminal nuevo que están haciendo.
Sí, damos, bueno, ya se terminó casi Virgin, se terminó la terminal B.
Ahora empieza el nuevo de Carnival.
Carnival no lo estamos haciendo, es la única. Pero las demás, la MSC, que es italiana, la compañía italiana Finlandier, también nosotros somos el glazing contractor.
Muchas gracias. Gracias por la felicidad.
Un placer, que estén muy bien. Muy bien.
Good to see people actually working. Thank you again for being great partners of the city and for the great work they do. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, Mayor and Council members, is item 8B, presentation of the 2022-23 Strategic Planning Report.
Come on up. My
If
favorite
IT can help me pull up the presentation, thank you. Herb, the clicker is right there.
Herb, my favorite Gator. We have a new coach, Billy Napier.
Got a new year. We'll see.
Yeah.
Herb, if you can please pick up the mic. There you go.
Okay, you hear me? This is the clicker?
Green arrow to advance.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Council, Mr. Manager, Mr. Attorney, Madam Clerk, thank you for the opportunity to present your strategic plan to you today. If we consider the incorporation of Doral as Doral 1.0, your vision for the last few years is to build a city not only that you live in, but you can work in, you can play, and you can learn in. I believe with this strategic plan this year, you have completed that process. You've laid the foundation for the future, and you now have what you call a complete city. So first, I'd just like to acknowledge the years of work that everyone here has put in toward that. It's a tremendous achievement to move from a purely residential community to a full city. And so this year you essentially instructed staff, let's finish the work, let's finish the foundation. And so these are the basic goals that staff will be working on this year. I won't read them to you, but you created them. It will lay out the various ordinances, infrastructure, everything else you need to lay that foundation. At the same time, you recognize this is a growing and dynamic city, and so there will be Doral 3.0. What that's going to be is up to you who are here and the city to make it. But these are a variety of items that your staff are thinking about, beginning to plan for. How do you create an organization that has the culture and the accountability and the performance to create whatever it is that's coming next and to optimize it for the benefits of that city? So that is the strategic plan. It's to finish and complete Doral 2.0 and begin laying the work for Doral 3.0. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to respond to any questions or comments.
Okay. Questions or comments for Herb on these things? None? I wasn't allowed to speak during the
That's sorry, yes, sir.
strategic planning.
We missed you a lot, sir.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Herb, very much.
It was quick and efficient,
Yeah, one day.
so it was really good.
Yeah, one
Not
day.
because the mayor wasn't speaking, it was just quick and efficient.
We understand that.
Mr. Mayor, we'll need consensus to approve the report to be able to post it once he finishes.
Okay. Is there consensus? Is there any objection to anything on the
I
report?
just want to thank Herb once again, and I think this year was a little bit easier than some others because, like you say, we're at a different turning point in the history of our city, and a lot of those major projects have been completed. Now it comes time to fine tune all that and make it continue to be the best city in South Florida at least, and not in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Herb.
Okay. All right.
Well, motion to approve. You want?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Anything else you want to add?
I'd just like to say, Mr. Mayor, it's been a pleasure and honor to work with you since the last time I'll have this function, but good luck to the county.
That's okay. I might make a cameo appearance just to see what's going on as a resident. All right.
But thank y'all all again for the
No,
opportunity to
thank
work
you.
with you.
Thank you.
Next item 8C, Public Affairs Department recap presentation.
Okay. Maggie Santos.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council. If IT could help me with the presentation, please. All right, good morning. Maggie Santos, Communications Director. I stand before you today to give you the department recap for public affairs for the past 12 months. Our team is a team that is small, but we handle a lot, and we do it with a lot of love and a lot of passion. It's a team of 7, including myself. Together, we work to handle everything from media relations, social media management, video production, web management, graphic design, film permits. So we do a lot, and we enjoy it. I'm happy to report that Monday the 18th, we'll have the assistant director coming on board. So hopefully you can all meet him on Monday. So we're very excited about that. He's coming from Miami-Dade Fire Department. So he comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience and will definitely be an asset to the team and to the organization. So we'll start with some highlights across the different areas for the past 12 months. In constituent services, you have there a couple of graphs that represent the inquiries that we got, the type from the source, what topics they tackled. We assisted approximately 1,500 constituents between April 2021 and April 2022. The top 3 sources were via Instagram, phone calls, and Facebook. Instagram is largely the biggest platform from which we engage, not only to get out information, but answer questions, as easy from when is the Easter egg hunt to, what's wrong with my permit. So it's a great source, and we work very well with our constituents through there. The top 3 topics of interest were permits, no surprise there, odor, and city events. It's also important to note that our constituent services coordinator also assisted in the Solution Center as we worked through the challenging transition to EnerGov. So she was a great resource there to try to connect our businesses and our residents with the work they needed to get done down there with their permits. I also wanted to make another note. The topics did remain the same actually from the year 2019 to 2020. We compare those 2 years and not the COVID year, so it's more apples to apples. But while the topics kind of moved around in rank, they still were always, related to odor, city events, and permits. Regards to social media, it continues to grow progressively. From last year, this time, we've had a 9% increase in followers. We're at almost 66,000 across the 3 platforms, which are Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The posts with the highest engagements are listed there in the last 12 months. They're the White Horse Park sneak peek at number 1. Everyone loves park content. The solidarity post for Surfside Tragedy, the beautification of bike paths, and the first ever nativity set in front of the government center, which had a lot of very positive and excited comments on it. In the video production area, in the past 12 months, we produced approximately 150 videos, highlighting and promoting a wide array of initiatives, programs, and events. Some important ones to highlight: Doral Shines. This year, we wanted to launch a resident and citizen responsibility campaign like we've done in the past with a little twist of positivity. So these videos, you'll notice, highlight the good things that our residents are doing that we should highlight to help make our city a great one. So that was a very nice one. And one of the ones that we got a communicator award for. We got 2 communicator awards this year. The other one was Adventures of Alex the Egret. We had a lot of fun with this one. We tackled topics that are kind of common sense, but people need a reminder: don't litter, look both ways crossing the street. So we wanted to present in a very light and fun way. And Alex, our friend and mascot, helped us with that. So it's very animated, comic booky, fun way to communicate the message to our residents. We also produced Inside Doral Park's Bond. These videos feature the mayor touring all the completed bond projects. This is something that we'll continue to do now with White Horse coming online and other major bond projects. It really walks the public through the park, through the facility, lets them know what's new and the key benefits to the community. And then finally, also progress on parks. These are highlight reels, if you will, that include new roads, ribbon cuttings, stormwater projects, those type of infrastructure projects that really matter to our residents. Media. We worked closely with the media coordinating coverage of key initiatives and city accomplishments. Some standout ones were the unveiling of the mounted unit with Ocean Mazda. That was a big event. You were all there. We had a lot of fun, great media feedback with our business partner. We've also worked with media to really communicate and get the word out about milestones that we've reached with our Doral Parks bonds. CAUTA artists, which we worked with planning and zoning to get the word out and get a lot of submittals, so we're happy about that, as well as programs like the CBO grant. Events, we were happy this year to bring a lot of them back online. We've been doing virtual for a long time due to COVID, but we were able to get together with the community and really celebrate things that mean a lot, and it was nice to see familiar faces and new ones. The 9/11 20th anniversary ceremony, I think, really stands out. It was the first time that we dedicate such a large celebration, or not celebration, but commemoration for an important date that I think is heavy on our hearts every year. So I want to thank the police department actually for helping us a lot to make a really nice and heartfelt event. It was almost 3,000 flags, and we could not have laid them out without the Explorers. So I thank them for that support. We've worked with parks on several unveiling ceremonies, again, with the milestones, whether we were announcing that we broke ground or breaking a ribbon on a new addition to an existing project. We made sure to always communicate that it was happening and that the Parks Bond is moving and working for the city. The State of the City in October also was brought back online. We hosted it here, and we're able to bring the community and hear about a year of successes, as told by Mayor Bermudez. And then prayer day next month will also be back in person, so we're looking forward to that. Meanwhile, we do continue to work with parks and support them by live streaming events that are very popular, and maybe if people can't be here, they can still watch from home, including MISO and the tree lighting ceremony, Veterans Parade, events of that nature. Branding. So as the city prepares to turn 20, we're not teenagers anymore. We're growing, and our brand is something that has grown along with us. So it's had its kinks, its ups and downs, but I think along with so much else in the city, we're finally at a place where we are elevated, we are cohesive, and we have a solid identity and brand and who we are. So there you have some examples of some branding efforts that we've really honed in on the past year to make sure that it's cohesive, it looks good, it represents who we are and what we are. Our YouTube account has had a facelift in the last couple of months. Already we've seen subscribers go up. So it has a very nice look and feel that goes along with a lot of our ads, our flyers, which again, we produce in-house ads. And ads we do all year, every year in publications like Florida Trend, Miami Today, Invest Miami, and always with the undertone of Doral is a premier place to live, work, learn, and play. And we have everything to offer here from entertainment, gastronomy, parks, accommodations, everything. So that's kind of our core message in everything. Also, I want to report our Facebook and Instagram pages are now verified. That's something that we're very excited about. If you don't know what that means, that's the little blue check mark that you see on several large public interest brands or people. What does that mean specifically? It means increased credibility, improved search footprint, more followers, better protection, and more success rates on our ads, which I know Councilman Cabrera has brought up in the past, so that'll be a positive for our accounts. Okay, the website. So the website remains as successful as social media is our main home of everything Doral. All information, all forms, all news, all videos, everything lives here and really is a prime place to where we refer all of our public. In the past 12 months, we had approximately 1.3 million homepage views. This is up 130,000 approximately from year 1920. Again, going back apples to apples, since the COVID year was a special year that wouldn't really give us accurate metrics. Top visited pages consistently, as we look past over the past couple of years, have been building department, Doral trolley, and job opportunities. Following strategic planning, there was very valuable feedback regarding the website and ways that we can improve and adjust to what our community needs. So we're currently working to streamline, modernize, and facilitate use for the public. There are some examples there that have not gone live yet on our website. We're working in a test environment right now to make sure everything works and that everything is ready to launch. We're looking at launching before the end of April. So what you'll see is more modern, more clean look, more visual, less clutter. We're looking at what other cities are doing and how we can make that fit us and our needs. So those are some examples of what it'll look like. We look forward to launching it in the next couple of weeks before the end of the month. So some new campaigns that have come online in the past couple of months. Your City at Work. We started with the police department and then moved on to Public Works. This is a longer form video that highlights aspects of departments that maybe the community isn't so familiar with. So it highlights community policing, stormwater projects, grants we're getting in the different departments. We will be highlighting all of the forward-facing departments that mean a lot and are kind of top of mind for all of our residents every day. So you'll be seeing more of those rolling out. The next one will be Parks and Rec, everyone's favorite. The best of the best in Doral. You'll probably recall we launched a pilot of this last year, 2021. This year we brought completely in-house for a recurring monthly campaign. So every month it's a different project, a different category that gives people the opportunity to engage and highlight their favorite gym, their favorite place to celebrate a birthday, favorite margarita, so on and so forth. So everyone's been very responsive to it. From February to March, the number of poll has increased by 1,200. So There is traction, there is an interest there. Winners each month get a promotional video for free done by the city, a plaque, a window decal, and at the end of the year, we hope to have mayor and council do a recognition for all of the winners. To help businesses promote, we do offer key turn graphics to help the business promote, and then the winner as well at the tail end. So coming soon, you have some exciting upcoming events, partnerships, and projects. As I mentioned, the website revamp completion. Those are some aesthetic issues, low-lying fruit, if you will, that we're working on now, but the work does not end there. We're currently working with Public Works, and we'll be moving on to all other departments to make sure that there is a consistent look and feel across all pages, that it is user-friendly, and that what is needed will be there at our residents' reach always. So in addition to landing pages, we're creating a form central as well. I know it's come up in the past that maybe forms are a little lost in the individual pages, so we want people to have this ready to access. For the Parks Bond events, we'll continue to work to celebrate all milestones and events, working closely with Parks to promote and execute. A couple of video series that we're looking forward to: get to know your council member. We want to do some long form interviews with mayor and council individually that kind of give the residents an idea of who you are, why you're here, what inspired you, kind of add a face to who the leadership is here, and let everyone get to know you all better. We'll be doing something similar with employee highlights. We have hardworking, dedicated staff. A lot of them have been here for a very long time. A lot of them live here. So we do want to start highlighting them more and showing everyone who these public servants are that come to work every day to make their lives better. In the works, we have an I and Doral promotional series with CBS, so that'll be coming out in the summer. Again, promoting our overall live, work, learn, play, everything we have to offer, transparent government, placemaking type of promotional campaign. Then we also have a special feature with Diario de las Americas. This will also be in the summer because we do want to give an opportunity for the White Horse Park to completely be open, as well as a cultural center, because those are our big monumental projects they've reported on in the past that we want to be able to show that they're now ready for everyone to enjoy. And then we'll also be leveraging our outdoor assets to continue to get the word out and communicate more. This includes bus benches, malls, trolley stops, everything. So we're really going to be working to do more posters, more ads. And, you know, sometimes people say, we didn't hear about this, we didn't know about this. So we want to kind of try to put it out there in front of them as much as we can, whether they're waiting for a bus, shopping for a Mother's Day gift, so on and so forth. So that's some of the things that we'll be working on. And then actually we'll be having, they all started going up already at the trolley stop, some Parks Bond posters. Just a quick kind of cheat sheet on where we are with each project, what's been completed, why it matters, what the key projects are. We'll be working on some for hurricane season as well, and continuing in that effort to continue to disseminate information. With that, I thank you all always for your feedback, support, and guidance. Any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions?
I just really want to thank you. And besides the summary of what we've done, but some of the stuff that's coming is really exciting. And I think it's kind of very proactive. It's kind of what we're talking about with her. I mean, it's like we're here and now it's taking us to the next level. A lot of energy has been, until now, has been focused on that, getting us here. So some of those projects are fabulous. They really are. And I think it's exciting. And everything from the best of the best to just the branding. The bus benches, I think, is great. Because and probably, I mean, I'm not sure what the idea is, but have permanent ones that we just alternate the message. I think people get used to that. That's if I want to know what's going on, that's where I look, and that'll kind of create that habit, I think. So, and it is challenging. I mean, I think the only thing I still have a hard time is on our website. Is searching is not the easiest thing to get to where you want to go, and that's something we still got to work on. But that's why I'm saying, you know, the bench I think is a great idea. So just congratulations on everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And on the search bar, that's just one of the many things that we're tackling with the website. This is a priority project for us now, following strategic planning and all the feedback from leadership. So that's going to be something you're going to see kind of just tweaks constantly on it. So thank you.
Okay. No, thank you, and to the entire team too. Thank you.
Councilwoman Mariaga.
Thank you. Just congratulations, Maggie. I know that you have every strategic planning. The one thing that always comes up is communication. how do we communicate? You know, when somebody tells us, oh, I didn't know there was an event, or, you know, and you guys have tried every which way, and it's always great to see any innovations. And I'm glad that we're starting to feature, I know we've had these conversations before, but to really feature all the positive things that are happening in our city. Sometimes we get boggled down by a couple of complaints, but the vast majority of people that stop us on the street are just so happy to be here and see what an amazing what amazing features we give everybody that lives here or visits us. So it's great that we're highlighting them and highlighting all the wonderful people that make us up here look good, that work for our city, and many of them also live here. So I do appreciate it, and I look forward to the best of the best, because I'm glad we brought it in-house, and hopefully get to see more and more people have their hard work featured in our city. So thank you and your entire team. It's not easy, but you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Maggie. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Ditto, Maggie. Good job.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Next item, we're now going into discussion items. Discussion item 9A, Sister Cities letter from Hue, Dominican Republic.
If it's the Dominican Republic, Mr. City Attorney, is it you or is it Vice Mayor Cabral? Okay. Okay.
Mayor, we received a request for a Sister City Alliance. So our office, in coordination with the Vice Mayor's office, are presenting this item to you for discussion.
Okay. Take it away.
The reason is that I think that we have a lot when it comes to tourism and how this city, actually there's Punta Cana there's Higüey, so those are, Valladolid are one of the most important tourist areas in Dominican Republic. So I think that having the alliances with them, it will be beneficial for our city and as well for them. So I think that it will be something that will be fruitful for us to be able to have that partnership with with this area of Dominican Republic. As you may know, I mean, everybody right now knows Dominican Republic more because of Punta Cana and everything that they have to broaden the area of Higüey. Actually, Higüey has a lot when it comes to culture, in many ways. I mean, also there's La Basilica, that's one of the most beautiful places when it comes to worshiping, and also all over the world. I mean, many people visit it every year. So, and also they are growing, and many have been investing in technology and science in that area. Like, for example, I have colleagues, for example, Dr. Ricordi, that is one of the best doctors in the world when it comes to type 1 diabetes, that they're looking into establish over there because of the point importance that area have brought. So I think that we will be able to partnership with them. And
Supported. Motion to approve.
thank you.
Okay, is the motion to approve? Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Corvée. Right. So what do we need? Do we need a motion or anything or no? Yeah, motion. Okay. All right. The only thing that we just got to go through the regular process, right? All right. Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Cabrera.
By Councilman
Thank you.
Cabrera, seconded by Councilman Puig.
Corvée. Councilman Cabrera.
Yes.
Councilman Corvée. Councilwoman Mariaca.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cabral.
Yes.
Mayor Bermudez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next item.
Next item, discussion, item B.
This really, we had this yesterday, essentially. So
You wanna
we
recap?
want to add something to
Yeah.
it.
This question, did they change the language on the,
We won't know till 2:00 this
Yeah,
afternoon.
we're going to see it in a moment. But I do, Mr. Mayor, want to state that staff looked for a resolution regarding this council's position regarding the renewal of the contract, and we approved the letter that was written by you to send it. So if I can get consensus, if that's what we need, Mr. Attorney, but if we can actually have a resolution stating that this council is against the renewal, so we can actually
Yeah.
have it on the record, I think that would be important to do as well.
I think it'd be good to just do a quick recap, if you, Mr. Mayor, of what we discussed yesterday, because whoever did not tune in yesterday doesn't know what this is all about. This is on the agenda, so we gotta do a recap on it. And I think the highlight is that we're talking not just about not putting a new facility there, but also making sure that the renewal is not extended.
It doesn't go through.
Right. The resource recovery facility, which a 20-year contract was entered into with Covanta to operate it, the year or right before we became a city. That contract is coming due, and in October of this year, if the county does not negotiate or terminate the contract in 2023, then it would automatically get approved for an additional, I believe, 10 years, 20 years, same
20
as the
years.
original term. So we've been talking to the county attorney and county mayor and the county staff to make sure that we object to that, number one. They're looking for an alternate. They claim they're going to look for a new site because they still feel they need a resource recovery facility, but potentially a new one. A new one would cost between 900 million and 1.5 billion, you know? So at this point, one of the things that we would need to do is to obviously take a position, which we have done in the past, that we do not want the renewal of a new contract for an outdated resource recovery facility that all of you know causes problems with traffic, smell, etc. Last Thursday, this was on the agenda before, but last Thursday, the chairman, Commissioner Diaz, in his policy committee meeting, has an item which is going to be heard today at 2 p.m., which recommends or actually directs the county mayor and staff to seek to build a new facility in a site adjacent to the existing facility. That's in Doral. So we obviously object to that. I think we've all taken that position clearly. Part of what I told the commissioner when I met with him Monday was if he's going to look for a new site, or the county's going to look for a new site, then they should look for a site all across the county and maybe even in conjunction with Broward, a facility that both could use, but certainly not within an area that, such as the city of Doral, where there are residents around that facility. I reminded the commissioner that, the city of Doral was not the one that approved most of the residential growth around this facility that was built in 1985. It was approved by Miami-Dade County. In fact, those of you who go back a long way can look at our charter and find that we were the only city to incorporate with a whole square mile of our city being under the auspices of the county. And that's how the area between 97th and 107th got built and became residential. It was actually changed to residential from industrial by the county, not by the city of Doral. And it's very important to note that, because when you hear, well, why'd you let the community grow around there? Well, even where I live was way before we were a city, Doral Isles, and that was all approved by the county, much less Doral Park, and now the areas to the north. That vote will take place today at 2 o'clock. The commissioner had indicated he would amend his resolution. However, he made reference to it had to have every criteria that he had received from the report and in his resolution. The problem with that is that there is the site in Doral would not need brand new permitting because it would be attached to the existing site. It would be adjacent to it, and that would expedite it. So my request to him was, we'd rather wait 3 years and get it out permanently than necessarily continue to have a new site, which is still going to bring us the same problems. There's another host of other issues. So yesterday we had a meeting here, which a lot of residents attended, and we took a position, excuse me, and instructed the city attorney to look and see if we had taken a position via a clear resolution. It appears we may have discussed it and sent our comments through a letter from me directed to the county mayor and our county commissioner and commissioners. But I think what we need to do now then would be to take a resolution that we'd all vote on that would be clear on our point of view on this issue.
I'll support that. I just want to add one thing for the public to be aware of, because there's been some misinformation. The vote that they're taking today is in a committee. It is not the final vote. It has to go to the full county commission for a final vote. So it's important that in this time that as residents and as a city we're doing it, but as residents that they communicate with each member of the county commission to express your concerns and to actually ask for fairness and do the right job. This should have been done a long time ago. They haven't done it, and there's a lot of new members on the county commission now. But so it's not over yet. No matter what happens this afternoon, it still goes to the county commission, even if it's going in the right direction. We need to continue the pressure on the county. So please reach out to the county commissioners, the entire commissioner, and the county mayor's office. Can we get in your concerns about the resource facility there? And definitely going back, one of the key focuses is not just about whether, even if this moves forward in a favorable way, going to another location or whatever. Right now, I don't think they have a location. That may not be on the short-term picture of it. So the fact that they're looking for something new, I have no problem with it as long as they take it out of here. The concern, though, that we also need to make sure that in that process, and that's the other thing we all need to emphasize, and I request from the residents to do so, so we must emphasize to the county commission, they must terminate the contract or not give it a deadline. If they decide to extend it, as the mayor said, to look for something, then extend it for 2 years, whatever the time is required, but they must, because it's an auto renew. If they do nothing, it automatically renews for 20 years, and that's where the problem comes in. So they must take action in line and together with this, what they're doing, this ordinance. They should be adding that language to it. I've communicated that to the county commissioner already. That needs to be added so to make sure that this is, otherwise this is renewed. They could look for another new facility somewhere else and still keep operating this unless they cancel this contract. So we must communicate that. That's a critical message that has to go out. Thank you.
No, and the great thing is that we are, as a body, we're united when it comes to go against this resolution that is being proposed by our county commissioner, Jose Pepe Diaz. Another thing is that yesterday I also spoke with the president of the Doral Community Coalition, Yvette Petrovich, and if you need guidance how to write the email, they're going to be drafting, they're going to be making a draft, and they're going to place also all the different emails from the different commissioners, so you will be able to get in touch with them. So also get in touch with her, with Yvette Petrovich, that she is the president of the Doral Community Coalition as well.
One other thing, and I agree with my colleagues, and this is for the residents, we need to stand together in this. And we're doing everything we can from up here on the legal aspect of it that we can. But, you know, it's a special year and there's a lot of misinformation out there. And you cannot let yourselves be divided by this type of information. We've said it over and over, and you can look up the facts. The city of Doral did not have a choice in the residential areas that were built around this space. The city of Doral does not own the land where Covanta's at, does not do anything with Covanta. We have nothing to do with the contract. That is all Miami-Dade County. Bless you. So you need to understand this. It's been very clear, but there's still a lot of misinformation. And if you're guided by that and you miss this opportunity, we don't get it back. If there's nothing done and this auto renews in October, then don't come to us in November or in December or next year to tell us what's going to happen with Covanta. We could tell you right now what's going to happen with Covanta. It's going to be in the same exact place for another 20 years. So since your taxes that you're paying to Miami-Dade County is going to be used to build the new facility, then you do have a saying in this new facility. Remind every single commissioner and the county mayor of that, okay? The commissioner that's there is supposed to be representing us, is on his way out, so I don't know how involved he is in listening to us, but the mayor still is gonna need your vote later on. Let them know that, okay? Because we're here to represent you, but you are your own advocate and you are your own representative when it comes directly to the county. Now is the time to act, from now until October. We will be putting out all the information. There's organizations out there that will be doing the same, but we all need to make this push together. And I want everybody to know that we are all standing by you, and we expect the same from everybody here. Thank you.
Since we're all united in fighting this this move by the county, can we direct the administration to put out a communication with all the county commissioners' emails so residents can send them letters?
Sure.
We should
So we
also
do that through the marketing department
can
instead
add
of
the letters that
individually doing it?
Yeah, we can
Do
add
it
the
through the
letter
city.
that the mayor wrote. We can
Right.
add the resolution that we're doing.
Right.
All the actions that the city have
And we can
taken.
do that today if possible, if Maggie has the time
And
to
upcoming
get it done.
deadlines from the county side.
Just provide all the,
Mr. Attorney will review it, I guess, just to make sure that we're fine legally and.
let's go back to the issue, which is we want to have a resolution. What are we going to include in? Okay, there's going to be a motion by Councilman Cabrera, seconded by Councilman Mariaga. And we are going to, the resolution should encompass.
Well, what I would propose, Mr. Mayor, is I'll draft a resolution and have the language available this evening so that you can review it.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
Yep.
Fantastic. We didn't want to make it work last night, that's why. So. All right. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Next item, Mayor and Council members, we're now going into the advisory board reports. The first item is the Environmental Advisory Board. I don't believe that anybody's here at this time. They're on their way. So if it's okay with you all, I would like to see if we could hear item 10B before 10A. Item 10B, that would be the Military Affairs Advisory Board March report. They're here.
Yeah.
Come on up.
As always, I bring force.
Special Forces.
You got it. Yep. Mr. Mayor, City Council members, City Manager, City Attorney, Madam Clerk, good morning, everyone. And thank you for allowing us to come before you today to request your support in bringing the veterans, active duty members, and residents of Doral closer by way of the Military Advisory Committee. First, let me introduce the members who are present. We have Christopher Flynn, Ricardo Batista, Jason Juarez, myself, as everybody knows, Bill Watts, and Deborah Prather. Just for those of you that are not aware, note that 4 out of the 5 committee members are all combat veterans, having served in more than one of the following: the Gulf War, OEF, OIF, and the War on Terrorism. And the 5th member is a mother of an Iraqi war veteran who served 2 tours overseas. The first thing we would like to bring up today is the Military Advisory Board would like to coordinate with the City of Doral to adopt a unit. This is the centerpiece of the America Supporting Americans organization. This program encourages and supports towns, cities, and counties to form strong partnerships with armed forces units located within their community. The advisory board will file all appropriate information between the City of Doral and the U.S. Southern Command and work with the appropriate city agencies and personnel. Once completed, the advisory board requests the city and council to formally recognize this adoption with the command at the next available county council meeting. Additionally, we're requesting to revive the military tribute banners. The advisory board would like to advise the military tribute banners as done in 2019. These were well received by the residents and veterans participating in the program. It is our hope that we can increase the participation this year around with more advertising and encouraging additional sponsorship. Our current understand is Maggie Santos, which I think she just left, and very overworked from what I just heard recently. The Director of Public Affairs worked on the issue before, and we would like to once again work with her on this. We request advertising and support through city, social media, and Doral TV to reach a greater public than the previous event. We will once again work with the Military Tribute Banner Company to create banners purchased by companies and family members to honor our veterans and active duty members. The banners, once they've been created, we ask that the city have them placed along Northwest 33rd Street between 87th and 97th Avenue in front of Southern Command. Once they've been installed, keep them in place until Veterans Day or as time permits. In keeping with the previous event, we look to the city to support, to temporarily store the banners once they come down to allow time for the veterans and family members to pick up the banners. Next item, this year, the Military Advisory Committee would like to request a small informal ceremony be held on Memorial Day in the Doral Veterans Park. Normally, the parks are closed on this holiday. The advisory board requests that Veterans Park be opened on Monday, Memorial Day, May 30th, from event start time, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. This is symbolic with the tradition of flying flags at half-mast until noon on Memorial Day, raising the flag to full mast for the remainder of the day. The ceremony will be a simple ceremony, keeping with traditions of Memorial Day. Opening prayer, a few words from the mayor or council members that are present, a few words from the board chair or senior officer present, presentation of a wreath, Doral student chosen to play taps, and closing thanks. We request the city purchase a wreath to be placed in the park by the Military Advisory Board, a simple wreath for the occasion. We request the city announce on various Doral social media and as deemed fit for veterans wishing to attend at the determined time. If approved, the advisory board will reach out to VetInfo to donate water and volunteers as needed for the event. Our last item is, our final item today is a request to support from the city to start up a VFW chapter within the city of Doral. Committee member Rich Batista will provide further details.
Morning, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's good to see you all again, and thank you for this opportunity. It is a privilege and joy to be here today to talk about the initiative to start a VFW post in our wonderful city. Before I begin, I'd like to say we also have the honor of our VFW District Commander, Mr. Ozzie Perez, present today. Thanks again, Mr. Perez, for attending. As many of you know, and for those that don't, the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States is a nonprofit veteran service organization comprised of eligible veterans and military service members from the active, guard, and reserves. We trace our roots back to 1899 when veterans in the Spanish-American War and the Philippine insurrection founded local organizations to secure rights and benefits for their service. Many arrived home wounded or sick. There was no medical care or veteran pension for them, and they were left to care for themselves. In their misery, some of those veterans banded together and formed organizations that would eventually band together and become known as the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. After chapters were formed in Ohio, Colorado, and Pennsylvania, the movement quickly gained momentum. Today, membership stands at more than 1.5 million of the VFW and its auxiliary. Our voice was instrumental in establishing the Veterans Administration, development of the National Cemetery System, in the fight for compensation for Vietnam vets exposed to Agent Orange, and for veterans diagnosed with Gulf War syndrome. In 2008, we won a long-fought victory with the passing of a GI Bill for the 21st century, giving expanded educational benefits to America's active duty service members and the members of the Guard and Reserves fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. We were the driving force behind the Veterans Access and Accountability Act of 2014 and continually fight for improved VA medical centers services for women's veterans. Besides helping fund the creation of Vietnam, Korean War, World War II, and women military service memorials, in 2005, the VFW became the first veterans organization to contribute to building the new Disabled Veterans for Life Memorial, which opened in November 2010. And in 2015, we became the first supporter of the National Desert Storm War Memorial, which is planned for the construction of our nation's capital. We have many programs and services that work to support veterans, service members, and their families, as well as the communities worldwide. No one does more for our veterans. Our mission is to foster camaraderie among United States veterans of overseas conflicts, to serve our veterans, the military, and our communities, to advocate on behalf of all veterans. Our vision is to ensure that veterans are respected for their service, always receive their earned entitlements, and are recognized for their sacrifice they and their loved ones have made on behalf of this great country. There are several VFW members in Doral and its surrounding cities that I think would join our post, and many other veterans who are eligible to join and are looking to connect and know there is a camaraderie available through the VFW. This endeavor will not happen overnight, but what we're asking is for you to support our cause and initiative to further investigate the possibility of starting a post in Doral and having your permission to broadcast through the website and public announcements about joining the VFW with future plans to have a post in Doral. Thank you for your time, and we're always available to assist with any questions or concerns you may have. God bless America.
Thank you very much. Anything else you guys want to add?
Did you get a memo of time? Yeah, and I believe a memo was given to the
Yeah.
city clerk for every one of the
We have
different
it.
initiatives. So,
Bill and the whole committee, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Obviously, the military, I believe, is the greatest asset this country has. And it's probably one of the key things that makes us different to most of the nations in the world. And your role here in Doral is even more special, and I'll tell you why. Because we're made up of an immigrant community where many of the nations where our residents come from, the military stands for corruption. When they see military or even see police officers, they're thinking of the guy that takes the bribes at the port or whatever. And many of them don't understand the patriotism in our military and the serve. I mean, I'm still in shock sometimes in the light of everything we're seeing in the world, seeing young men still going out and enrolling in the military. And so your message, your presence here, I'm supportive of everything you're doing. I think to Doral in particular and to the world and to the nation, we're in a difficult time. And the message of the service that you guys have given to this nation is important, very important. And again, once again, in Doral, even more important because people need to, and they live in this city, need to understand that, and many of them don't. And you guys are the face of educating them. So thank you for everything you do, and thank you and supportive of everything you're doing.
Okay. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. It's great. I support it 100% as well. Thank you.
I do believe our Doral's Military Advisory Committee is the most active within the Miami-Dade County, from what I've seen.
Thank you.
So,
I liked very much Adopt a Unit. I think it's a great cause, and and uniting everyone that's active, especially having hosting here our Southern Command. So great job. Thanks.
I think we have consensus to move this forward, or do we need a motion?
It depends, Mayor. It's really going to depend. I haven't seen the memorandum. I mean, we can have consensus to move forward, but if there's specific programs you want to adopt, then I would reintroduce a resolution at the next meeting.
So that you could introduce a resolution on the Adopt a Unit and the VFW.
Correct.
Which both need a little bit of work anyways, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, some of the things need to be also worked through the manager's office as far as budgeting and how it would work and all that, anything that needs money and figure that out. But yeah, definitely supportive, and it just has to come back, I guess, formally.
I mean, I think some of the things, for example, the VFW posts traditionally have had their own places. We don't have those facilities, but you could certainly meet at city, for example. That would be the, but yeah, I think then what we'll do is there's consensus, right? Nobody has any objection?
Yes.
On all these items, including the event for Memorial Day. So what we'll do is the ones that need a resolution, for example, I don't think the Memorial Day event would need a resolution, but the two others would probably, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, so then there's consensus that we support the items as requested by the board and move forward in the appropriate manner, including a resolution that would formally set up the programs. Okay?
Thank you so much for your
Thank
service.
you very much for your service to the nation and the
Okay,
service
guys.
to the city.
I think most of us will be back to see you guys again tonight for the proclamation presentation.
Okay,
Yes.
that'd be good.
Yes.
That'd be good. Thank you very much for your service once again. Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
Mayor and council members, we're now item 10A, Environmental Advisory Board March Report. We do have the Vice Chair, Mr. Johan Ali, here to present the
Thank you, Mr.
report.
Ganavi.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, council
morning.
members, city manager and attorney, and to our city clerk. We're honored. I'm honored to be here. This is for me a really special privilege because I've been a resident of the area for 28 years, long before our city was incorporated.
Yeah.
And it's probably my first opportunity to actually sit here and talk before you. So thank you very much for the opportunity. The AB has studied and researched the matter that we've presented before you in your packets today. We've gotten input from some of our youngest denizens, and with their input and request is why we're putting forward this particular a proposal for your consideration today. We looked at some of the littering issues that we've had across the city. It's gotten worse over the last couple of years, and we think we have a somewhat of a solution for that. We'd like to ask you to take under consideration and implement. The first is that the fines for violating the ordinance, or number 2006-02, be amended to reflect the increases shown in our report and in your packets. Those haven't been changed since they were created more than 10 years ago. And we're kind of out of step with our sister cities in the area. And we think that that'll go a long way to try and mitigate some of what we're seeing. The second is that there be increased signage across the city to better notify and educate the public about the penalties for littering that exist within the city of Doral by means of an additional plate on the existing signage that can be easily updated and as needed, detailing the fines for littering and or dumping. So it's a really low cost solution for what we think may help. The third is that the former Keep Doral Beautiful signs that were at the beginning of the entrance of our cities be put back so that we can kind of help educate people as they enter the city who we are and what we hold ourselves accountable to. This information, the locations are in your packets as well in our report, the written report that we submitted to the city clerk. But we'd like to add that the plates that we're talking about in item number 2 be also added to these signs. So right off the bat, as people enter, they know what they're looking at in terms of penalties and why they shouldn't be littering. The fourth is a very low-hanging fruit in our opinion, and that is that the city leverage its social media platforms to provide educational material and helpful information regarding littering, dumping, and mitigation tools for citizens with respect to deterring the incidents of littering and dumping. Examples have been provided in our report, and we want to just thank you for your kind consideration and your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I personally am very supportive of all these items. I wonder what happened to our original signs that said, "Welcome to Doral, don't even think about littering." Somehow that got lost through the era of chaos. And I think that,
Along with the ones don't think about speeding?
that's, well, yeah, exactly. And, I agree with you. I mean, we passed that ordinance in 2006 because we felt that it was important that the role of maintaining the city clean doesn't belong just to the 5 of us up here or even to our public works department, but to everybody. And as far as the material, we had videos. Now we're trying to do it the nice way through Alex de Egret. But having lived in Doral since 1998, one of the things that I have always felt is we as residents learn a little bit more when we're told what not to do than what to do. So I think it's important for our residents to know. And by the way, we've had residents who have been part of these videos and we don't do that here. No hacemos eso aquí. But I think we need to let people know that there is a impact when they don't act. Right. We're one of the first cities to try to keep Doral beautiful. It's not even garbage cans because they're concrete all around the city. I'm all for it. I think it's a responsibility of the residents to know that they're not supposed to litter. Again, I believe in Doral. If you don't tell people what they can't do, they will do it in general for whatever reason. I don't know. So I don't know what I'm going to propose that we support all these items. I don't know if anybody else feels differently.
No, I agree.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
I'd like to really also just add that this particular one was really driven by our young people who came to a couple of our very first meetings, and we asked for their input, and this came up with them. So it's one of the things that's driving why we went after it.
Excellent.
And I think that we can make a difference.
Great.
Yeah, ironically, it usually tends to be the children
right?
that remind the parents. We used to have a little commercial which was done by one of our board members in the Economic Affairs Advisory Board, and she is a dean at FIU, and her daughter would tell her, "Mommy, you don't throw the garbage on the ground." It was one of the ads we had, and one of the ways that we tried to reach out and remind people. And she was kind enough, because she follows the rules, but was kind enough to have her and her daughter be the individual that did this. So no, I think it's great. I think it's important. It's one of the things that distinguished the city from others when we started, and we need to go back to that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your service and for the board's service. The what? Okay. Yeah, I mean, she just gave me something about, I guess, the memorandum. I read that, but what's it, to ensure progress to the replacement, request for information within 60 days. Yeah, that's going to be exactly what I told you yesterday. Either Florida Power and Light or somebody else is going to respond. In political speak, you know what this means?
What I'm saying is if you turn it over, they're also saying that they don't even have the funding for those projects.
Of course, no. It's 1.5 billion. Like I said yesterday, Councilwoman Mariaga, I guess through the astute work of Armando Arana somewhere here, pointed out that the
That's the memorandum that was written today.
yeah, well,
I know that you mentioned that yesterday.
yeah, from the mayor. We'll pass it. Why don't you make a copy of this and give it out to the council? Look, I think that two things about this, and we'll go back a second on this because it is important. Because I just got a request from a county commissioner asking if I was going to be there, and I am not because I've got to go to the doctor in between council meetings. But the RFI is really going to be something where they're going to request from people who might be interested in a public-private partnership what they can or cannot do. It could be good, it could be bad. That's number one. But the good thing is at least it opens it up to other sites. Because somebody, you know.
The one thing about it is at least her recommendation to the committee is to hold off at least for 60 days to get more information and do things right because they don't even have the funding for these projects and acknowledges that there is certain issues. So at least it'll give us, in a way.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about this issue, because obviously I'm glad that this memorandum,
No, it just came, that's why
Came in 10
they
minutes ago.
came in.
10 minutes ago.
I'm glad this memorandum points that out because I think that she is correct. The facility would be approximately 1/9 of the county budget, which is not feasible. And that would, you know, if you do it at this point with the funding that they have, and in taking into account that the sheriff's office is going to be separate in 2 years, it's going to make it very difficult to do anything without an increase in taxes. And you know what's going to happen when that happens. So I think this is a good thing for us. I can't be there, but if any of you can be there.
Well, the thing that concerns me about that is that it's kind of good news and bad news in the sense that no funding is, they still require action because if not, we're stuck with a no facility.
Right.
So
Right. This isn't like a yay, we won
right.
kind of memorandum.
No, I don't.
This is
This
we're buying time.
I think once again, I think that we got to maybe think about this and come up with a united game plan because the question is the battle to stop the building of a new facility here and that focus there and then who knows what happens versus going to saying, you know what, we're saying stop this completely right now, give a 2-year time limit on the current facility and those 2 years is not being renewed unless there's a game plan in place to take it out of Doral, period. And then if not, then in 2 years, gives them 2 years to figure out a solution. It's not reversible, 2 years. And then by that time, the only way it can be extended if there's a plan B already in place that will guarantee us that within the next 5 years after that or whatever, there's a new facility being built somewhere else. Because otherwise, my concern is, that's why I was concerned yesterday, is that it gets lost in this maze of this ordinance and there's a bigger fish to fry.
Exactly. That's why we need to continue our mission. Right. This is just an update of what's going to happen today, but we can't just.
Okay, this just so you know, this discussion on this new facility has been going on since Alina Hudak, who's now the manager in Miami Beach, was there, and I disagreed with her because she wanted to spend $350 million when Jimenez was mayor. Now U.S. Congressman Jimenez, then mayor, and they couldn't get the 350.
Right.
So, and my argument was, if you're going to do that, then build a new facility somewhere else.
Right.
But do a private. I'm fine with a public-private partnership as long as it's open.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not, a cook deal.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, that it's not in Doral.
Right.
You know, and
I
that they
agree.
actually look at other sites, which there are other sites within District 12, by the way, as I told Commissioner Diaz, you know. So
I just don't want it to be somewhere that's, you know, instead of right in the middle, it's half a mile away. You know,
Right.
that kind of stuff. That we
Well,
don't,
Across the street, just so
yeah, we don't
it's
accomplish
near.
anything.
yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you something. So everybody understands. Unfortunately, we've been around politics long enough. Most of us, you know, on the 30th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, or maybe Maggie. Somebody, I just saw that for the first time, there's going to be a 5K at the old landfill on April 30th, Earth Day or something.
Yeah, something like that's coming up. It's being funded. It's
So,
being promoted by.
The Superfund landfill has been sitting there for years, right across that was closed, and it's taken off the Superfund site now. So, you know, there's obviously the PR job, and I got to give credit to Michael Fernandez, the Director of Solid Waste Management, you know, of trying to push this is fine. The only problem I've got is, you know, that we need to make sure that this gets done the right way. I've told Mayor Levine Cava, and she has been open to that there will not be an automatic extension. The county will come back with something that's much more limited to give them time to solve this. This memorandum says something that's very clear. There is no way the county can fund a new plant without having some serious ramifications to the county budget. And I can guarantee you that, you know, the line here, one of the challenges we face is there is no dedicated source of funding for this kind of project. So it'll be interesting to see. We need to monitor that meeting today, Mr. City Attorney. But what I read into this is at least the mayor saw our meeting yesterday and took a position, which is good.
Her representative went back and.
It also is also telling us and the whole community this is going to be an ongoing, almost daily, weekly battle from here to October.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
This is our window, like you said yesterday. We hadn't
This
had
is
the
it.
window.
Yeah.
We didn't have the window before. The window's here now. It's kind of, you know.
Yeah. We're going to have to monitor this very closely. And by the way, the only thing I'm going to say, which Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Manager, is we need to monitor anything that deals with this issue on a day-to-day basis. The way that things get moved in Miami-Dade County sometimes is by the time they appear, it's a done deal. So if you don't monitor it, and if we don't have a constant, you know, I asked the city attorney to see if he could get a report about the impact of the truck traffic on Doral from this facility. Their first answer was they had no records, which makes no sense because they've got to monitor under state and federal law the number of trucks that come in and come out.
They have
So
to.
that makes no sense. So we need to get clear answers on these things because that's going to impact our position. Because it's not just the issue of the smell, it's the issue of the constant truck traffic, the damages to the roads, you know, et cetera.
And Mr. Mayor, when we track this, what I would say is track anything that has to do with the Department of Solid Waste because their thing here is bundling everything up with the resource recovery facility, there's a materials recovery facility issue, there's going to be a waste to energy issue. They know that the other plants, the other facilities that are taking regular garbage are also getting full. So they're trying to bundle all this up within their solid waste management department. And I know that I'm pretty sure other people have noticed that they've even have advertising out now on their behalf, right? About how wonderful this this facility is and how much we all benefit from it. But again, what we all said before, don't get fooled by, you know, what's going on the side. Let's focus on the fact that we don't want this contract renewed. And this is just a little buying of time. But yes, we're going to have to also notice who's going to come in from the outside to put money down from the private area, from the private sector into this facility, because it's certainly not going to be the county.
Look, I think the one thing about the RFI, which is good, and the extension for 60 days is, and I do agree with Mayor Cava, that to solicit for design criteria professional before you know what you're going to be building, you know, as she states in this memorandum, I'm totally in agreement with her. An RFI would at least let the county perform market research and gather information from suppliers, get information, get best practices, et cetera. Before you go to design build, you should do that. So I'm in agreement with her, and I think it's good news for us. Let's hope that there's enough votes to say that they agree with her.
Right.
That I can't guarantee.
I mean, the whole thing with this is that it's got to be a united, commission to take. I mean, because I think Commissioner Diaz is trying to find some as being chair. I think he has a little more clout than he's had in the past because there's something new that hasn't.
Well, I think that we know.
Yeah,
we learned that from the annexation.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, in the past, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always been. So, and it's been difficult to get things moving forward, and it's been back and forth. Everybody passes the ball on, and it's hard to get consensus. But and hopefully now with the mayor's support, also we could pull some of that consensus together because that's a challenge. And I think they're trying to find solutions, but just the solutions right now aren't what we need. So I think we need to stay on top of this. That's it.
Well, I mean, listen, one of the things we could do based on this memorandum is take a position now that could be forwarded to all the members, including our Commissioner Chairman Diaz, requesting that he support this memorandum and extend allow the staff to develop a RFI within 60 days and table the item.
Again, one of the things we just got to keep our eye on the ball is to make sure that this passing it on doesn't get to the point where all of a sudden October's upon us. And she's saying no renewal, but that has to happen, and it has to happen sooner than later. I think that's the most important part. That's the one goal. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one that should be being put out there.
Right.
And this we should back up. I agree. We should send something out immediately.
Well, what do we need to do with that? Do we need to take a vote? Do we need a motion? What do you need?
You could take a vote, and I can prepare I can prepare a letter that can be sent up for the 2:00 meeting.
Okay,
For your signature, Mayor.
that's fine with me.
Motion, if you need an emotion, I'll make a motion.
And I second.
Yeah, the 2:00 meeting over there.
Well, he will have the letter to go to the commission before the 2
when
o'clock.
it starts.
You were looking at your calendar, have to be back here at 2 o'clock?
And I want to thank Mayor Daniela Levincava for creating this memorandum so quickly and listening to us and our residents yesterday, because this is important, very important.
And he says that she really cares, that she is, she cares and she listens to us, so that's great. Because I know that, and what the mayor has expressed before when he met with her, that she was really receptive with this issue and trying to find a solution to help our community.
Right? Do you, so I guess you'd need a vote?
Just direction from the council. I'll prepare the letter for your signature, Mayor.
Does anybody have any opposition to that?
No.
Okay, so there's consensus.
Okay.
So thank you, Councilman Mariaca, or for bringing this to my attention, because we must have gotten this like 10, 15 minutes ago. So,
I'm telling you, you got to be on the lookout for everything.
yeah. Boy, those legislative aides are doing a good job today. Look, see? So, every day, I'm sorry.
Let's just move on. Let's move on.
That's part of the matrix. No?
Mayor's
Yours rather than
report? I'm not
Mayor's
sure
report.
I'm not sure if that was your report, but
No.
mayor's
Nope,
report.
I didn't want to take away. I
Actually,
didn't want to hijack.
my mayor's report was only going to be two things, which was, actually dealt a little bit with the county waste management and what was happening today. There's a hearing at 2 o'clock. I'm not going to be able to be there. I got to be at the doctor. It's in between our council meetings. I know a number of residents are going. Obviously, we're going to let the commission know, and I will certainly call some of the commissioners that have been calling me now about our position. The only other thing I was going to say is, and I usually talk about things that are coming up, and hopefully, there are some good things that happen across the board. But I just wanted to remind my colleagues, and I want to remind the residents, that our bond project, which was voted on by residents, is being carried out not only correctly, not only timely, but also we have to carry it out legally, because if we don't, we would have problems. And Mr. City Attorney, I think that's important because it's election season, and some people that maybe want to be up on this dais continue to repeat things that are untrue about the bond project. So I would only ask the residents that if you have a question about those bond projects, either come to the city, feel free to call me and I'll answer the question without you having to maybe get what is a version that is not consistent with what's really been carried out by this council. And I would leave it at that. But please reach out because we are on time. A lot of residents have asked because for some odd reason, I guess as that former bearded dictator 90 miles to the south used to say, quoting Stalin, if you repeat a lie often enough, people believe it. You know, and I'm not going to allow somebody out there that wants to be up here to get here by lying about where we are with our bond project. So, and by the way, if you're the one repeating those lies, your door's open to come and talk to me too.
In addition, if I may, there's a quarterly report that is issued by the administration, and it's placed in our website, so you can go into our website and look for Parks Bond, and I'm sure that you will find that quarterly report, and you can see the progress. There's a timeline. There's details about each and one of the projects that the bond is paying for. So there is transparency from our side, from the city, from the administration, and it's accessible to everyone in the city.
The sad part about the lies is that, like you're saying, people on the outside trying to use lies to discredit and to get in, and it hurts the city because they're lies. And it's important to understand the bond project was something that first was approved by the voters. Then it had to go through a very detailed process of creating the bond under legal scrutiny, in which we had to have even attorneys that specialize in that. And then once that was done, it had to go out to selling the bonds. And then once the bonds were sold, that's when we kicked in and started doing our part of it. And in spite of that, we had COVID in the middle of it, and we're still on time. And the only over budget, to be very clear, were some cost and labor increases that came out of COVID. Like in everywhere else, it happened. And luckily for us, we have an amazing reserve, and we were able even to find funds, Mr. Manager, you correct me, outside of our reserves that and other sources that we got, monies we got from the government because of COVID recovery. But we have a very high surplus, the reserve, probably higher than most cities, and even having the second lowest millage rate in the county. So to talk about inefficiencies in government, this has to be one of the most efficient governments, period. In those 19 years we're going to be as a city, we've maintained a very low millage rate. We have an $80 million reserve in the bank, and we've managed to build 8 parks, city hall, police station, and police training facility. I think that's unheard of. The private sector would applaud that, and much more in the government sector. So it's sad, and I do echo the mayor. If you have any doubts, contact us, because those lies don't hurt us, they hurt our city. And it's sad that people that say they care about our city are actually spreading lies that hurt our city. So
one other thing also is to state that people believe that there might just be one bond project. There is one large one, which is J.C. Bermudez Park or Doral Central Park, and but we've completed a lot of other projects. So when people out there are saying that we've been working on the bond for this many years and there hasn't been a single completion of a project, call it a lie, call it fake news, call it whatever you want. It's just not true. So there's transparency, there's efficiency, and it's just very easy to find. It's right there, So if you choose to believe that lie, I'm sorry, it's on you. You just don't want to know the truth. Spend a little less time in figuring out what you're going to order at Starbucks or what movie you're going to watch, and find out where your money is actually going to instead of blaming the wrong people. So I'm just putting it out there. I do have one other thing, and if I can get my colleagues on board, I met with PBS over the past few weeks or over the past month. I sat down with our public affairs department. They met with them. PBS has a PBS Health channel. It has a lot of very good information and good programming. And in the conversations we've had, they have agreed to provide programming for Doral TV at no cost to the city that would bring good programming actually for Doral TV, which we've always struggled with in the past. And there's no cost to the department. They don't have to do production. It's all set. And this afterwards can move forward with other programming that could feature the city of Doral, again, with no production costs, no cost to the city, and it provides a good information for our residents. And they also will provide some in contact for our city, for our website, which can be integrated. It's real-time information from doctors in the area. The programming is all localized, so you're not talking to somebody in the other side of the country and things like that. So I think it's a great partnership that we can have with PBS. They're very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. And I know staff is okay with it. So if the rest of my colleagues are okay with it, then we can move forward.
Personally, I think it's a great idea, but I'd like to have a lot more information of what exact program we're talking about, because that's opening up a Pandora's box, which even PBS is great, but some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with. So I think even though it's a good concept, I think it's complicated, and I think we definitely need to have more information about specific programming, how many hours we're talking about and what programs they're going to be putting on. If it's purely public information, it could be good, but there's some things, again, that concern me. So me personally, without having more specific details of the program we're talking about, I don't feel comfortable being fully supportive. I think it's a great idea to start, developing, and then bring it back in the future with more information. That's my opinion.
It's the public health channel. It's not PBS programming. So
Health channel?
yeah, PBS has a channel that's called Health Channel. PBS Health Channel. So it's just health information. It's not.
I still would like to have more specific.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Not a
started. I think it's a good concept if you can find out, or you can find out as I understand it, their health channel is done with Baptist. I was there when they started it.
Yes.
We're not going to have on Frontline or Masterpiece Theater, right? We're going
No.
to have on, the idea would be the Baptist supported health channel. And I do think we need to know how many hours and stuff, because we also have our own programming.
Right. So my meeting with them was just very exploratory at that point, just to kind of gather the ideas on what they're willing to do. They are willing to provide certain blocks of programming, depending on what we're comfortable with all health-based information.
Yeah, it's their health channel.
Yeah,
Right.
and
And they
just so
have-
we understand, it's the city that would be leading the programming needs. It's not like we're handing the TV station
Yeah,
to
correct. So-
PBS.
right,
We
so
would
we
tell them,
have to
listen,
vet
we
it."
have, we have an hour here, 30 minutes there that we need to fill. Can you provide me information on that?
Correct. So I'm happy to go back and kind of flesh
You
it out.
you can see their health channel. They put some of it on PBS during the day, and some of it they put on Channel 17, and some of it put on the internet. So why don't you go back, get more specifics?
Yeah.
Anything to get our city healthier is great. I've seen the programming. They have doctors that'll talk about different medical.
I'm just in the day and age we're living today. I'm very concerned about all types of programming, no matter what it is. Even talking about health, I just want to make sure that whatever message, I think you got to make sure the message that it is consistent with the vision of our city. I mean, it's great to offer extra help. I mean, I think in the future these kind of things need to come, fully vetted with memos and understanding of what it is. That's my only concern with it. When it comes to programming of any kind from anybody, in the day and age that we're living in today, I'm very wary.
Yeah, just
That's all I would ask for.
Yeah, get specifics. I've seen it before. It usually will be like, how do you lower your A1C, things like that. The link between heart attacks and diabetes. But make sure you just try to, once you meet with them again, get specifics and come back to the council with it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
at that time we can give guidelines on what exact program.
Exactly. And the idea was I believe there needs to be an agreement anyways. I would have to come back to council even if there is no cost, just because it is an exchange of.
What I was asking council today is just to allow us to move forward with bringing an agreement on, moving forward and making that agreement to see what we can do. I mean, I would leave it up to, obviously, the Public Affairs Department to decide on the programming, because they're the people that represent us on public affairs. So, I wouldn't want to have council necessarily pick programming, because then it becomes very personal. It's like art. So it would be up to the manager's office together with public affairs to go ahead and sift through the programming that is appropriate and how many hours we need and everything. So my only request was for us to have the ability to just say, okay, let's move forward with an official presentation or an official agreement with PBS Health Channel.
Which will come back to mayor and
Find
council
out.
with
Right.
programming details on.
Find out the programming, which of course we wanted as nonpartisan as possible in this divided America.
Sir.
As non-controversial as possible, and the sense of, right down the middle. I've seen the programming. In general, it's not problematic. It's focused on health, but if that's what it is, then that's great. You know, and I know that Janice Esqui was one of the ones that I think was a former Doral resident who was for a long time, who I think was very instrumental in, you know, trying to move forward on this. And she and Councilwoman Mariaca began those. It seems like a good idea, you know. So, but
Okay,
we got to
so-
check it. I agree that we got to make sure it's the right idea. The
Understood.
last thing we want is some sort of programming that then half of the city jumps on us, whether it's the ones that come to council meetings or it's the ones that, you know, who are on social media. So, okay.
Yes, sir. We'll work on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else on council comments? Then we go to city manager's report,
Good morning, Mr. Mayor,
department reports.
council members, Madam Clerk, and City Attorney. I'm very proud to say that last week we started the Nova Southeastern University Leadership Training Course for all directors and assistant directors of the department. It's a 10-week course giving them leadership and management studies. Additional to that, the Government of Finance Officers Association awarded the Finance Department the Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Report, reporting the City of Doral for the Popular Annual Financial Report for fiscal year ending September 30th. And they also got the award for the budget documentation for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2021. We also participated on April 11th with Our Lady of Guadalupe Church with a food giveaway where they gave approximately 206 people food. The police department's neighborhood resource unit assisted with the food distribution, as well as motor officers were on site assisting with traffic. Easter is right around the corner, and Easter with Your Peeps event presented by Miami-Dade Firefighters Local Union 1403 will be held on Saturday, April 16th at 9 a.m. to noon at Morgan Levy Park. This event is open to the public, and patrons can enjoy an array of activities. Additionally, the United States Congress directed the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to develop a cyber network security assessment that would measure gaps in capabilities to state, local, tribal, and territorial government cyber security programs. The NCSR is scored on 7-point scale, 7 being the highest possible score, 1 being the lowest. The minimum recommended maturity level for SLIT government is a score of 5 on the NCSR scale. The City of Doral NCSR scale results show that the cybersecurity maturity level is much higher than the minimum, and all our scores were between 6.47 and 7.0. This indicates that the City of Doral Information Technology Department has focused on policies and procedures developing to formalize cybersecurity activity, including actively monitoring the cybersecurity events, remaining vigilant to threats. Based on that score, it allows the City of Doral to apply for federal grants, and if you don't have that score, you're not allowed to apply for those grants at hand.
We understand the login is 90 letters long.
And we all have to take the courses, right? And we have to have 100% of scores, and so we're doing very well on that. An EnerGov update, we're doing a workflow reduction on the EnerGov, and additional to that, I have weekly meetings with the EnerGov president of implementation every week. So we're working on that. And other than that, happy Easter to everyone, and happy Passover.
Yeah, I got 2 questions about one comment and a question on the department reports. Normally I don't do this, but I have to do it. Well, I want to thank IT, but not for the 90-letter requirement. I want to thank IT because they finally, after all these years, got really good cameras, by the way. And they really look sharp. I wish you would have had this when we started the city. I had a lot more hair and was thinner. So it's too bad, but it is what it is. So thanks, though. Yeah, yeah, and monitors to see it on. So congratulations to the IT department. Excellent job on that. And Mario and his team here in this room. I normally don't do this, but Chief, I've got to tell you, I'd like to come on up because my mother had a saying, which was, maybe Danny, you should be the one that comes on up too, because I got a response from you on this. My mother has a saying, which is, cada loco con su tema. That's a saying she used to have. And with all due respect, I don't like to answer things that are brought up, but there was a comment made earlier today, that our crime rate appears to be some of the highest in the state. I responded to an email that was provided by that resident. I have a response from Mr. Borrego that makes it clear that that's not the case.
Correct.
Yet now it's been said in this meeting. I think that, with all due respect, you need to clarify that publicly because, the statistics that were provided by the deputy chief and from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement are not consistent with that comment. And, one of the reasons people move to Doral is because we're much more secure than most of the rest of Miami-Dade County. But when a comment is repeated in these public meetings, I just think it becomes, as I said before, a lie repeated becomes a truth. So I'd like to know what your opinion is on the comments that were made earlier by a resident.
That's correct. The residents was responded with very detailed information as to our breakdown in our crime rate in the state of Florida, and where we were at on it. He chose to pick certain areas out of that and make his point. That's what it was. But if I can bring Danny up, do you have the data? Because I don't have it memorized. It is extensive, but we are nowhere near the top of the crime rate in the state of Florida. What he was looking at is, he said 69% of the entire state, all cities. That's close to 400 municipal jurisdictions that have police departments in the entire state. That's Miami-Dade Police Department, Jacksonville, Tampa, the big cities. So, Danny?
So in part of the response email that we gave, FDLE would do a comparison report every year of every municipality in the entire state. The last full year that we have is 2020. The only way to compare city to city is to compare it by 100,000 per population. Using that figure, Doral is one of the lowest in the entire state for a city our size, comparing to all cities, regardless of population. I also attached, since the inception of the city's crime rate has consistently calmed down, except for 2 years. One was the COVID year, where we had an increase the next following year. But we have consistently had a drop in crime rate to the point that we are almost 95% down from when the city first incorporated. So to say that we're one of the highest crime rate, I think is a misinformation.
Okay, I just want, I want to clarify that. I normally don't do this because it's not, but I think that when we're talking about the security of our city, that's very important. Because some reason, again, it's election season. I got it. And, but that doesn't make it right to, if you're going to argue to want to be up here on this dais, base it on true information. Don't base it on misinformation. I know that's the hip thing in this country now, whether you're listening to one side or the other. But, your response to the email that I received, since you're the person with the knowledge, was very different from the information that was read into the record or was provided today.
Mr. Mayor? Also, I think we provided this information before, but there are a lot of people that get these crime rate information from websites that are more geared towards real estate and things like that. And actually, if you read the fine print on that information they provide, it actually says that it's not necessarily an accurate number that they're giving you, because a lot of times what they're doing is they're pulling information by zip codes. And if people are aware with the city of Doral, we have several different zip codes that encompass the city of Doral. However, several of those zip codes go and have areas beyond the city of Doral. So if you're running a report solely based on zip codes, you're going to incorporate the crime rate statistics of other neighboring cities that are not part of the city of Doral. So you, and anybody that realizes the geography of the city of Doral knows that we're surrounded by other cities that are more densely populated or have larger areas where they have businesses or areas that are warehousing and things like that, where there are more crime rates. They're not violent crimes, but we do know that there's more crime rates in those areas. And you're taking those statistics, adding them to ours, and it's not necessarily a clear a part of information. That's not where you should be receiving it from.
That's correct.
I just wanted to hear from the horse's mouth since you guys have access to those statistics.
Can I ask you another question? If you have it off, you may not have the information at the top of your head. Do you know what the average response time for non-emergency and emergency is?
We just got that.
We
data
just
this
had
morning.
one a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was under 5 minutes for emergency and just under 8 minutes for routine calls.
Okay, I've lived in Doral for 34 years, and I can tell you 25 years ago, before we became a city, average response time for emergency was probably about an hour, and non-emergency was 3 hours. You usually left before they ever showed up to take the report. And back more than 25 years ago, I remember an armed robber coming into our city from another area, coming in here and having to run into a dead-end street, jump in the wall into our community where I lived, and hit in a jacuzzi and with a gun. And the police came and searched for him and found him. But so I mean, crime's everywhere all the time, and some of the crime that we see here is also pass-through crime that you can't do much about anywhere. So I mean, definitely. This is one of the safest communities around, and like the mayor said, a lot of people come to Doral for that peace of mind of, especially for the families, and the gated communities add a lot to that security also. So I think it's misleading to paint a different picture of Doral than what it is.
I appreciate the opportunity to respond.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it because I normally don't do it like I said, but and since I watch IDTV a lot, like Southern Fried Homicide, even idyllic places where there are no people tend to have, problems because we live in the world essentially. But I want to make sure, because I know that you sent me a response and also sent the resident a response. I want to be clear on the record of what that response was. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Attorney's report.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Manager, City Clerk. In light of the recent update that we received this morning regarding Mayor Cava, I just need a little direction now from the council. I'm preparing a letter for the mayor, signature to go for the 2 o'clock meeting. Am I still writing a resolution?
Yeah, the resolution's for the evening anyways, because
Okay,
that's
so
a
the-
different resolution.
But essentially the content's going to be very similar.
Similar, but the only thing I would say is that in the letter for me to sign, the council, by unanimity today, receiving your memorandum during the council meeting, supports your efforts to, move forward on the RFI or delay this process. So actually, we would be asking them not to take a vote today.
Right. Okay.
The resolution is regarding the renewal of the contract.
I'll do that, but I think we should also include that language in the letter.
That's fine, yeah.
I agree too.
Okay.
I think that has to be, that's really the highest priority.
Right.
The highest priority really right now.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do both.
But one's got a 2 o'clock deadline, one's got a
I
6
understand,
o'clock
sir.
deadline.
I will get them done.
So, okay.
All right. No, sir.
Clerk, I think we have something special today in your report, which is usually pretty short.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you so much. So today, earlier, you all approved a proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week taking place May 1st through May 7th, and I would be honored if you all would take a picture with my team and myself on our proclamation.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You want it up here or down here? Up here? Okay, perfect.
No, that was a pure coincidence. I had no idea.
Really? I thought you guys coordinated.
No, I just found out right now.
We just woke up like this.
Oh, no wonder. I was wondering. You gotta go in the middle. You're the world's greatest clerk. You gotta take
Manager, attorney.
Come on. Teddy, want to
It's a teamwork.
You guys do, man.
So connected.
We do.
Wow. Look at that. We're on TV.
Thank God they changed the cameras now. Look a little better.
I don't know, man. I can see
Are we good?
Are we centered?
All right, Maggie's, go.
We are good. Hold on.
I think you took the picture.
Hold on.
They are, they're gonna frame us on this.
This is important stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys, yeah?
Looking great.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Mayor
you.
and Council.
Well, thank you guys, you do a great job.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yeah. We rarely get to thank the whole team. Madam Clerk, you got a great team. We're gonna change it to the world's greatest clerk and team.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. Absolutely.
So-
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
Okay, so at this point, we entertain a motion to adjourn till this evening.
Turn.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, we'll see you back at 6 o'clock. Yes? Oh, yeah, 4. See you back at 4 for the executive session, but that's not here. That's not here. Good.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to City of Doral Council meeting, the evening session for today, April 13th, the year of our Lord 2022. Madam Clerk, it is 6:03 p.m. Can you call the roll?
Councilman Oscar Puig Corvey.
Present.
Councilwoman Claudia Mariaca.
Present.
Councilman Pete Cabrera.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Digna Cabral.
Present.
Mayor Juan Carlos Bermudez.
Present.
Mayor Hepcorn.
Could all please rise, face the flag, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anything on the agenda, order of business? I think we have the resolution.
Yes, Mayor,
right?
you have the lay-down item, which is.
We have a
resolu-
lay-down item, right?
Yes,
Which
sir.
is, should be in your packet along with a letter, which is a resolution, correct? That you're gonna discuss?
That's correct.
All right, so if no one has any objection, we'll have that as a lay-down item. So, Madam
If that's
Clerk?
okay with the council, we'll discuss that before the public hearings?
Yes, let's discuss it before the public hearing.
Okay.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. If you're here for the first time, welcome back. If you're here for the umpteenth time to the city of Doral. The 3 rules, very simple. If you're going to speak or speak on your phone or talk to a friend, we're going to ask you to step outside during that time period because sometimes it's hard to hear. Number 3, right up here is the clock. We just finished with the NCAA tournament. The Canes made the Elite Eight. Kansas won the championship. We heard the buzzer sound a couple times. When the buzzer sounds at the 3-minute mark, I'm going to give you a little bit more in a lean because I'm a nice guy, but you got to wrap up near the 3-minute mark, okay? Yeah, you have a right to speak on anything you want. In fact, if you're going to speak, please fill out a card, and when you come up to speak, give us your name and address for the record. If you're going to be during the ordinances, I will open it up to public comment, but it will be limited to the ordinances, okay, the item itself. The third rule, which is very simple, is, sorry, they're calling me from the county. I got to take that back. Sorry. Important call, but I'm going to have to postpone it. The third rule, which is very basic, is you have a right to criticize me, criticize my colleagues, criticize your significant other and your kids if you so choose, but you must do it respectfully. If not, the young man back there in the dark blue uniform will tap you on the shoulder and ask you to step outside. Okay? So having said all that, we are going to open it up to the regular public comment portion of this meeting. And at the present time, I'm going to call up Maria Elena Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maria Elena Rodriguez, and I'm here in proxy for my sister, Ms. Luimar Betty Garza, who continues to have her First Amendment rights illegally violated. I'd like for her to speak. Go ahead. Go ahead. I can't hear you. Sorry, she doesn't seem to be.
You got it?
Okay, now you do. Go ahead.
Are we there?
You're
Now
on the
you are.
clock, Ms. Garza. Let's go
Can
ahead.
you hear me now?
Yes. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Like the AT&T commercial, yes. Oh, Verizon now, okay. Whatever.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and complain about resolution on the consent agenda item number 6G, 224623, and 6H, 224634. Once again, you have a consent agenda item of which you have not allowed the public to comment on. The problem is you are wanting to help our police officers to help Medley and Sweetwater to use our taxpayer money to help their police officers. Why are we not discussing this? Secondly, the whole reason we're in this trouble is because under the consent agenda item, a memorandum with a contract with United Nations was signed, and let me read it again. The United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR, is a dedicated training arm of the United States system. All of you, by sin of omission, who continue to allow this contract, to allow people who are not vetted nor authorized to come into our country, by a memorandum proposed by the traitor Digna Cabal and the traitor equally, Luis Figueredo, city attorney, I am asking once again for all of you to understand the white hats can hear you breathe. And if you do not take action, you, Pete Cabrera, you, JC, you, Hernan Organ-Videz, who claim to know Trump very well, get together with him and understand that you are aiding and abetting a traitor to your right, JC. And if any one of you continue in this, you will equally hang with her by the violation under the Nuremberg Code. And since now we have her participating in a bunch of other committees, we need to find out what exactly her intentions are here in the city of Doral. Because it is inconceivable to me that she's going to be a member of all these committees, and how she can really work with the city of Doral to make it the best place to live, eat, drink, yada, yada. Thank you for your time, and once again, get rid of the traitors, especially the ones who think they're being so cute in front of all of it, and Doral will be known worldwide for you aiding and abetting these traitors. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garza and Ms. Rodriguez. Anybody else that would like to come on up and speak to any item at this time? Please give us your name and address for the record, and give us your opinion in a short, succinct, and concise manner. Okay, let the record reflect. No one else has chosen to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, we are now going to go to the first item, which I believe is a laid-down item. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir, that is correct. I'll read the item into the record. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, urging Miami-Dade County not to extend the lease with Covanta Energy for the waste-to-energy facility in Doral, Florida, and urging Miami-Dade County to locate a future facility outside of Doral, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, I think I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This resolution was the one directed by the council at this morning's meeting. The resolution essentially focuses on two key issues. The first issue is to urge the Miami-Dade County to take proactive action by terminating or advising Covanta Energy that the lease would not be extended. The second provision in the resolution focuses on urging the county commission to study alternative sites, to look at potential partnerships to help fund what would be a very expensive facility, but most importantly, to locate the facility outside of the city limits of Doral.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve by Councilman Corvey, seconded by Councilman Mariaca. Are there any other questions of our city attorney? Comments, queries, or concerns? There being none, Madam Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilwoman Puig-Corvée, seconded by Councilwoman Mariaca. Councilwoman Puig-Corvée?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mariaca?
Yes.
Councilman Cabrera?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Bermudez?
Yes.
Motion passes. First readings, item 21A, ordinance number 2022-12, debarment and suspensions. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, amending Article 5, purchasing and in Chapter 2, Administration of the City's Code of Ordinances by creating Section 2-340, Debarment and Suspensions, amending the procedures for companies that have violated procurement guidelines to be debarred or suspended any future bids from the city, providing for incorporation into the code, severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the attorney in a second, but this is one that we had discussed. Most cities have, during the procurement process, if one of the applicants does not submit honest information or is not honest in the process of procurement, a process where those entities would not be permitted to submit their proposal for that particular contract. A situation happened a while back where the city attorney had to throw out a procurement proposal because there was a number of complaints by different businesses. And one of the issues was that two of the businesses had colluded to a certain extent to, which by the way was not proper under the proposal. What I would like to do, and obviously this is just first reading, is to make sure that we have a process where someone, but a company in particular, is not honest when they respond to an RFP, or in particular an RFP or an RFQ. That we have a process whereby we advise them you cannot.
Completely supportive. I mean, it makes all sense in the world. It makes us look bad. The only thing clarification is yours is disbarred or suspended for any future bids for the city. I would be supportive of any future bid, not just that bid. I mean, if someone's been dishonest, why would we want to be, doing something at the city again, or at least for a period of time?
Yeah. No,
Long period.
We'll get into that in a second. Let me just open up for public comment. The clerk reminded me kindly. Would anybody like to speak on this item at this time? Please come up, state your name and address for the record, and give us your opinion in a short, succinct, and concise manner. Thank you, Madam Clerk. That is why you're the world's greatest clerk.
My pleasure, Mayor.
When the mayor has
And
a
greatest
loss.
team.
A greatest team, too. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm open to discuss. What I would like to do is to make sure that we discuss it, because we've had this problem for a while. I mean, the same thing could apply where, we have entities that may be in litigation with the city, but are still applying for work from the city, which doesn't make any sense to me. So Mr. City Attorney, could you give us your thought process on how you?
The ordinance is designed to essentially preserve the integrity of the procurement process. And to respond to your question, Mr. Councilman, it's actually the debarment of the suspension would be 2 years. So you're not just being suspended from that specific bid. If you are deemed to have violated any of the criteria in the ordinance and the city manager makes that finding, then the debarment or suspension would be a minimum of 2 years. So it's designed to essentially ensure that companies that are submitting bids to the city are doing so in an honest fashion.
I would suggest maybe minimum 2 years.
That's what it says, minimum.
Minimum 2 years.
Yes,
And
yes, sir.
at the discretion of the manager, it could be longer, depending, I guess, on the
On
severity
how
of-
egregious and severe the
Okay,
violation.
that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we could do it in perpetuity because they would probably be challenged. But I think if we have a minimum of 2 years, that would be, Councilwoman.
I agree, and I think at least a minimum of 2 years is good, because or else sometimes people lie, they falsify documentation. They have to step down, they have to step out of something. They're barred for a year, and then they come back with a vengeance, with the same lies again. So the other question I had is there any way for us to make sure it's not just that particular company, but if we pull the Sunbiz records, that anybody that's associated with a company is also out? Because or else,
It's individuals and company.
Okay, anybody that's in that company or has anything to do with it, I just want to make sure that we don't have people just switching names or opening a new company and coming back with the same MO. So
Your point is that they create a new corporate entity with a different name, but it's still the same.
right, I just want to make sure that when we have those bids, that we pull those people, that we get all the Sunbiz information, make sure that all the registered agents, anybody that has anything to do with that, out. same suspension cycle. So I'll place a motion to approve it.
Second.
I want to add something. Looking over this ordinance, I was thinking of the change orders, and I spoke to the manager about it, and he told me that you, Louis, protects us well with the contracts when it has to do, you put language that will protect us on the contract. But thinking of the future, I'm not sure how and if we can create an ordinance or add to our ordinance how to limit and when, or a process for change orders, because it's very easy to, come in and do the low bid and then come back and request change orders. So I'm not sure if we can do that, but I would like to know what can be done.
Well, we do have language in the agreements that any change order would have to be approved. So there is an evaluation process and an evaluation process by staff. But in addition to that, the council, when it approves a contract for a specific amount. So the change orders have to be within that threshold. Anything above that has to come back to council for review and approval. Yes.
Okay.
The motion on the table is by Councilman Mariaca, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. I don't know, Madam Procurement Director, if you want to add anything? Okay. I mean, I think, look, the change orders, and I agree with you, but remember that some of these proposals are either some are the lowest bid, some are the most responsive.
Right.
So we don't always have to actually take the lowest bid depending on how that proposal is written. And I think that the city attorney does a great job with the specific amount that has to come back to us.
Right.
And obviously there is language that is in there that hopefully keeps that from happening. Now, obviously, if there's a valid reason, they can always come back in front of council with a positive recommendation from the administration.
Usually change orders are because of unforeseen circumstances, not because they price something too normally, right? I mean, usually something that was not clearly visible. When they start digging, all of a sudden they find something underneath.
Well, a good example would be COVID, when the cost of materials went up
Right.
significantly, and that's why we had to come back to council.
Yeah, I mean, I think another example to go back is, Morgan Levy Park, where it was never expected to find, tires, and it took an additional 1.3 to 1.4 million from the city coffers to get the park built.
Right.
So, we had no choice, but it wasn't also the person that was, or the company that was building the park for us. It wasn't their fault.
I mean, they did borings and everything.
Yeah,
and
remember,
it just didn't come up. It didn't
come
show up.
right.
Right.
We found it after.
Yeah,
the job.
I'm just thinking of the future when a great attorney like Louis is not here, if it ever happens.
Yeah, well, eventually it will.
I think,
to protect ourselves and protect the city and the residents.
So the lesson is to make sure that Louis leaves, we get another great attorney.
We've been very good on that. I think the only thing with this department and suspensions is important because we've been getting lately individuals, and I know it drives our procurement director crazy, that come to these meetings. It's advertised. They know what they're supposed to provide. Then when they don't provide the true information, then they say they're going to appeal the decision. Well, you shouldn't be able to appeal a decision that you were dishonest in providing the information about. And if we could show that you were dishonest, that it wasn't just a mistake, then I don't think they should be able to bid again for a period of time.
Totally agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Agreed.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2022-12 on first reading, made by Councilwoman Mariaca, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Councilwoman Mariaca?
Yes.
Councilman Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Bermudez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Madam Clerk?
Next item, second reading, item B, ordinance number 2022-08, investment policy for elected officials pension plan. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, adopting an investment policy statement and asset allocation policy for the City of Doral's elected official pension plan, providing for severability, incorporation into the code, and providing for an effective date. This was approved on first reading on March 9th.
The public comment portion for this item is open at this time. If you would like to opine on this item, come on up and give us your opinion in a short, succinct, and concise manner within the 3-minute time period. The Jeopardy music in my head has concluded, and let the record reflect, no one has chosen to speak at this time.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Corvée, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Are there any questions, comments, queries, or concerns? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2022-08 on second reading, made by Councilman Puig Corvée, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Councilman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Councilman Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mariaca?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Bermudez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, item C, ordinance number 2022-09, fiscal year 21-22 budget amendment. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, providing an amendment to increase the general fund budget for fiscal year 21-22, park impact fee fund budget for fiscal year 21-22, as reviewed, modified, and approved by the city council at the meetings held on March 9th, 2022, and April 13, 2022, providing for transmittal by the city clerk, providing for implementation, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on March 9th.
Okay, the public comment portion of this item is open at this time. Anybody who would like to speak to proposed ordinance 2022-09, please come on up, state your name and address for the record, and give us your opinion in a short, succinct, and concise manner. Okay, let the record reflect no one has chosen to speak at this time.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilman Mariaca, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Are there any comments, questions, queries, or concerns of staff on this item? There being none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2022-09 on second reading, made by Councilwoman Mariaca, seconded by Councilman Cabrera. Councilwoman Mariaca?
Yes.
Councilman Cabrera?
Yes.
Councilman Puig Corvée?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cabral?
Yes.
Mayor Bermudez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Before we adjourn, we'd like to wish all of you, on behalf not only of the city council, but all of us at the city of Doral, a happy Passover and happy Easter. And I remind council that Manny Cruz should be here to get the singer that headlined the Dominican event at any moment. Those of you who would like to stay around to do the recognition that we were going to do earlier, please hang around a couple minutes.
Thank you.
I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
No. Aye.
We don't know if they'll be singing. Thank you all very much. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thanks. Those of you who want to sing, please stay around.